Yeah, sure thing. All right, our next speaker is Rewanth Tammana, and he's a senior security architect and Nmap developer. So Rewanth is a security ninja open source contributor and senior security architect at Emirates National Bank of Dubai. He is passionate about DevSecOps, application, and container security. He added 17,000 plus lines of code to Nmap, holds industry certifications like CKS and CKA, etc. Rewanth speaks and delivers training at international security conferences worldwide, including Black Hat, Defcon, Hack in the Box, and multiple others. He was recognized as one of the MVP researchers on BugCrowd and identified vulnerabilities in several organizations. He also published an IEEE research paper on an offensive attack in machine learning and security. He was also part of the renowned Google Summer of Code program. All right, and Rewanth will be talking about the SBOM. SBOM, the inescapable way of tracking dependencies.
Amazing. Welcome, Rewanth, and so looking forward to your talk. I think I was just telling earlier when we kicked off DevSecCon that, I think in 2022, if you say SBOM 3 times, like a genie appears. So I don't know if you agree with that, because it has become one of those words that everyone, it's become a buzzword, but it is just one of those things that is so crucial to, I guess, security as well. So I'm really looking forward to this talk. We'll bring up your slides as well, and Proma and I will just duck away in the background and let you take it away.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. And thank you both for the amazing introduction and about speaking about SBOMs. So I'll just get started quickly. Just a quick introduction about me. I guess already they have introduced me, so I'll skip these slides. And what to expect. We'll discuss about why SBOMs are required and what it is and how you can use SBOMs. So the why. Before diving into the why, let's just see some of the recent hacks that happened on various companies and open source projects. So one of the famous hacks that happened was on the Faker and Color.js, where a developer himself corrupts his package and releases a false update. If you see the Faker.js, it's having around 2.6 million weekly downloads. And similarly, Colors.js is another package which has got 20.7 million weekly downloads. And Faker has around 2,600 dependents. So it means if Faker.js package is affected, it will subsequently affect 2,600 more packages. And similarly, Colors package is being used by 20,000 plus dependents. So one of them gets affected, the ripples are gonna go through multiple other packages. And if someone else is using these packages, those will be affected subsequently. And one of the other attacks that happened was on the Python library called SSH decorate, where the attacker has backdoored the package to steal your private SSH keys. So they can use that to log in into your remote servers and do nasty things. And there is another attack called typo squatting. It's mostly based on brand hijacking, where they just tweak 1 or 2 letters in the package names and try to release a false package. For example, Coloroma is one of the PyPy package, but the attackers released something with CYLOUR, which is mostly used in the US terminology. And this package has a malware dropper that will come onto your machine. Once you install this package, it will automatically install the malware on your system and tries to copy your crypto wallet numbers. Like, for example, if you see here, this is the actual, it will replace the target's cryptocurrency value. So whenever you want to send money to your person A, it will replace it with this attacker Bitcoin address. So you will never get to know, but the money will be transferred to the attacker's Bitcoin account. So this is also one of the hacks that happened. And Log4j is one of the most famous vulnerability that came in the recent times that triggered the entire start of supply chain security and its awareness. So I want you to observe the timelines. The issue was first reported on November 11th, and on December 1st, they first saw this vulnerability being exploited. And on December 13th, the first patch got released. So from December 1st till December 13th, the exploit is available publicly. And even on December 9th, it got exploded on Twitter. And everyone has access to this, but there was no patch available until December 13th. So from December 1st to 13th, the vulnerability was being exploited, and people has no clue about it because there was no official patch on that. And similarly, since it got super famous, following on the other days, there were multiple other vulnerabilities that the researchers identified, and those have been patched after a while. So if you see here on December 14th, another vulnerability got published and it got patched on December 18th. So that's an issue. And there are the other hacks that happened in the past 2 years on these open source packages in Homebrew, PHP, CodeCow, VS Code, and multiple others. So this is one of the reference thing on by tag security. You can go here and read more about the other hacks that happened. So why do these supply chain compromises happen? What's the primary reason for it? I truly believe it's because the attacker knows your system better than you do. He knows more about what kind of packages you're using or what kind of services you're exposing, and you don't have any way to track these things. Or even if you're tracking them, you need to have actionable points. Just having the information will not help. You need to make sure you're utilizing the information that you have so that you can take some active measures. So according to a research done by Wiz and EY, even after 10 days of the Log4j team released the patch, only 50% of the companies have patched their systems, and 50% or 45% of the companies still left their systems unpatched despite being a critical vulnerability. So why do you think these 50% of the companies did not patch their system? Is it because they're negligent, they want to get hacked or lose reputation? No, none of these are the reasons. It's purely because they don't know what to look for. They don't have insights on where this log4j is being used on their system, or any package for that matter. Or if the package is a dependency or a sub-dependency of another package, they don't have any visibility on these components. That's one of the reasons companies lack to fix these things, and the attackers tend to identify this in the first place. So SBOM comes here for the rescue, and SBOM refers to the software bill of materials, and this is how it looks like. For example, this is the SBOM generated for an Nginx Docker image, and you can see it lists down all the package information that your image is having, along with their versioning and their licenses and a lot more. We'll go through them. So the what? So just to give it a simple analogy, I'm sure most of you might love choco chip cookies. So when you want to make one, or when you want to understand how one is made, you need to have the complete list of ingredients, their source, the quantity, and how long you have to brew it, and everything. So SBOM is similar to this. Instead of giving information about choco chip cookies, you will have every detailed information about the software or the components that are involved in building the software, their versioning, their licenses, when they got released, and if there are any CVEs, if there are any vulnerabilities associated with those packages, it will give information of them as well. So how can you look for these packages, or how can you look for these vulnerabilities, or how can you generate these SBOMs? So there are several tools available on the public, and one of them is Trivy, made by Aqua Security. You can use this to generate the SBOMs. For example, here I'm just looking for the vulnerabilities in the images. I haven't generated the SBOM yet, and it shows there are around 1,258 vulnerabilities in a standard node image. So how can you get this information into an SBOM? So you can have this similar command executed, where you have to specify the type of information. and it will generate the SBOM for you. For example, let's say you are building a Node.js application and you want to identify what kind of licenses are involved with the different packages that you install on the Node.js application. For example, as most of you might have tried building a Node.js application and it downloads so many dependencies. So in this case, just for this standard Node.js image, there are so many packages that involves 131 different types of licenses. And we are able to get this information through generating the SBOMs and then parsing the output and listing down for the unique ones. So you can read more about this over here. And just having this information is not helpful. You need to visualize it. Sometimes it's easier to visualize rather than just seeing the things. So there is an amazing project called GUAC, it's for Graph for Understanding Artifact Composition. It looks something like this, where you can pass your SBOM information once you generate them, and then it will visualize it for you, and you'll be able to go more deep into it. And it can get as complex as this, where I'm looking at the packages in the Kube Controller Manager container, and it will list down all the binaries and what is dependent on where. And just to show a live interactive demo, so this is a Docker bash image, and it is having all these dependencies. So if I go to this one, and I can just click on the expand graph. So if there are any other sub dependencies or something else depending on this package, it will show you all the list of information over there. So in this way, it gets much interactive, and some might prefer this way of visualization. So you can definitely try out GUAC to explore more into this. And also it's good to have these SBOMs generated with all the list of information, but it's equally important to secure them. So Sigstore is another open source project that works towards securing these artifacts and your Docker images or any artifact for that matter. So I have released the Sigstore, the Easy Way guide. It's a practical approach on very easily getting started with Sigstore and securing your SBOMs. So you can definitely have a look at it and try to secure your SBOMs as well. And even SBOMs have been so famous that even the NSA has released their own guide on securing the supply chain artifacts, and they have explained more about how you can secure these SBOMs and about other things like vulnerability exploitation, metrics and stuff. So what are my thoughts? My feeling is supply chain security is open source security. Most of the open source code used by people isn't updated, and hence you need to have a proper way of tracking your dependencies. And when something happens, you will have the complete information so that you can take an immediate action. That's where I feel the SBOMs will play a crucial part. And you can connect with me on these social medias, on Twitter or LinkedIn, and this is my website. I hope this is useful in just at least getting an idea about what SBOMs are and how you can go ahead with getting started.
Thank you so much for that, Rewanth. I think it was really, really good. And I think we just had Care from the chat mentioning as well that it's good that someone's actually covering GUAC as well, because he just covered SLSA. So it actually complemented that really, really well. And not to stretch the analogy, because SLSA and GUAC, I always find that a bit funny. But and that was a really good insight. I think I liked, how you kind of explained the things with the chocolate chip cookie. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not sure.
I love the analogies.
Yes, I think it is really, really interesting. And the fact that you said, that attackers do know your environment often better than you do, I think that's a really good thing that you mentioned, because it is very true with the world of open source. It is out there for everyone to see exactly what goes in that software as well. So that was really, really insightful. And thank you so much for joining us and, sharing your knowledge here as well. I'm just going to quickly see if there are any questions. But yeah, if anyone does have any questions that they want to pop in, do send them across. But otherwise, Rewanth has generously shared his details as well. So I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions you have in the future.